Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I greet you all according to your time and locations you'll be watching this video. Yes, my dear viewers, I am back again with another update. So guys, I have a video here I would like we all to watch. But before then, if you're meeting my channel for the very first time, you're highly welcome. Please kindly do well to like, share and subscribe. Leave your thought on the comment section. Let us know what you think about this video and I will see you towards the end.
Is the problem? Why the back and forth? Why the secrecy? Why does it seem like there is something extraordinary behind this particular CSU certificate? Another question would be that some persons will think that the president should have just kept quiet. And look at what he said, there will be irreparable damage. What kind of damage would he incur if the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party has access to his document?
Thank you very much. Let me talk about the issue of irreparable damage. Already, Nigeria is suffering irreparable damages by virtue of the fact that the person who purports himself as our president is abroad internationally in a court in the US defending his rights or defending the issue of his certificate, whether it is forged or not. The kind of public odium, the kind of insults Nigerians are receiving, that Nigeria has a president whose certificate is not even sure, is causing the country irreparable damages. Nobody really cares what Mr. Tinubu feels or whether he's damaged or not.
He's saying that it's going to cause him irreparable damage. In what sense? He tendered this certificate to INEC. He did tender the certificate to INEC. So if you knew the stakes available, if you knew that document was contentious, why did you deposit it in the first instance? And what kind of harm would come to you? Because literally he was pleading like his safety was on the crossroad.
No, the reality is that if you know you've gone wrong, that's the only reason, that's the only circumstance under which you can be talking of any fear. And what harm, like you rightly said, what harm will he face if it is realized or decided that his certificates are forged? He becomes a forger. And the way it is now, with all these defenses Mr. Tinubu is bringing up, it is very, very clear that he has things to hide. And the fact that he has anything to hide with the certificate is enough admission of guilt. I mean, irrespective of what the courts decide, in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of the average Nigerian, in the eyes of the international community, this man is already tainted. There is no two ways about it. If you said you went to a particular school, you submitted the certificate to the INEC, to the authorities, and you now said details of that certificate will cause you irreparable harm. What harm, for goodness sake? That's why I said the entity being faced with irreparable damages is you and I, who have to carry about a Nigerian passport, who have to go about with the tag of a Nigerian citizen, that we are ruled by a character who is afraid of his details of his certificate being released. It's worrisome.
But Barrister Eze,
yes.
I really want to understand. I want to put this in context. One of the reasons why we have these in-depth interviews during the news is possibly to enlighten ourselves and get the facts right. So it doesn't seem like we're going with the wave of other stakeholders or other persons' comments that may not have any logical fact. This is basically what his lawyer said, his legal team said, to substantiate or defend the reason why there should be a stay on releasing his record. And there is something the judge said which already explains everything we're talking about. He said that if you know the stakes available, why did you tender such a document? That's one question he also asked. And then he also recommended that the school administrators must submit themselves to certify all released records under oath. I don't know if you recall at the initial stage when this certificate debacle came up. I recall during the time that they sat in court in Chicago, where his legal team, it was via a press conference, was via a conference call where he had to defend himself. Now he said something. Atiku Abubakar's legal team asked, the school to swear under oath. That was part of what they asked the school to do. I remember Tinubu's team, I read it then, where Tinubu's team said there is no need for the school to swear under any oath when they can just admit, after all, that he indeed attended that institution So there is no need for anybody to swear under any oath. And literally said that PDP is on a fishing expedition. That's what he said. And that literally this document may not even be of any significance at the apex court while they're trying to appeal. So when you keep saying that it is important to look at some of these critical issues, you now wonder if the school themselves have said he indeed attended the school. They have admitted that he went to the school, he got a diploma certificate from them. Why is the legal team now telling the school to put a stay on releasing his certificate? What exactly is in there that he's afraid to be let out?
Now, I think I've mentioned earlier before on this program that what the school authorities are doing by their pre-verification is to avoid a long spell in prison for perjury. They can say whatever else they've been saying, they can admit he was a student, they can do whatever, but the court has now asked them to swear to an oath before the court. That changes the entire scenario. Because when you have sworn on oath in a matter before a court, and it's proved that you lied, somebody will be in jail for that because it becomes a criminal offense. That is the difference between what the school has been saying prior to now and what the court has ordered the school. And the reality is this: the court has sensed that somebody is lying, and the court wants to hold somebody accountable for lies. That is why the school will fight tooth and nail based on whatever arrangement they have with Mr. Tinubu to avoid swearing to an oath. But when the court gives you an order that you must swear to an oath to facts that you have deposed to, then you must swear to that oath. So that is the issue now. What the court has put, the court has put a stage, has put a final hurdle, whereby if you know your school gave this man certificate and not a woman, come and swear to an oath to what you gave. And thereafter, every umbrella person can go and rest. And the issue is this: once that oath is now sworn, it will be easier to verify that oath with reality. And if it is proved to be false, then I don't know how much whoever would have paid that school, the vice chancellor or whoever, to lie on oath, because he's going to be in prison. That is where the issue now changes, yes.
All right, Barrister, some persons believe that if the tribunal has given a judgment, that there is no need for the presidency to be afraid. There is every obvious reason to believe that possibly the Supreme Court will validate what decision the tribunal already made. And so that there is really no reason for him to raise any tantrum, for him to question any other proceeding from the opposition political party, to actually stay on their ground that they were the ones who won the elections, and rather for him to focus on issues that concerns governance and security. But do you think it would have been better if he had just kept quiet and allowed things to be? The school already asked the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party that they will release the records to him, because the reason why he asked for that record is authentic enough, concerning the fact that there are questions concerning his eligibility, that is President Tinubu's eligibility as, the president of the country. And the judge also said something that Tinubu had already, he has lubricated, or rather he has diluted the effect of his education privacy rights when he submitted a contentious certificate to run for office in 2022. Now, do you think the school themselves are being double-mouthed? Today we hear that the president indeed attended the institution. Tomorrow we saw an affidavit by a particular secretary of the school verifying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did indeed attend the university, and also mentioned that on the year with which he attended, the only difference was the fonts and the school seal, which they said is also understandable because at that year it was manually imprinted. So any errors, which includes the gender, they misgendered him, which includes the gender that they put in there, the possibly date of birth, and also other things that may have been an anomaly, it's expected because that was in 1979. How come the school itself, the judge is saying that certificate the school supposedly authenticated is contentious?
Well, your first question was about the Supreme Court, whether it can still listen to what this new argument. The issue is the fact is this: the Supreme Court is a court of very wide powers and jurisdiction. It can do whatever it can do to attain justice. So if it turns out that what Tinubu submitted is proved to be a lie, when the university now gives this statement on oath, the Supreme Court can still act on it whether it is part of what has been stated before or not, because it is a court of justice, it's a court of law, and it's a court of policy. So it can, and it can actually reverse what the court of the tribunal had already ruled on. With regards to the continued defensive mechanism Mr. Tinubu is deploying, I think even to the blind, it is clear that this man has a very fishy past, that this certificate is modeled up in things that are beneath par. So the reality is he's just trying to prolong the evil day. He's trying to prolong the time when all these realities will come out to the fore. What we should be worried about is what is the implication of all this on Nigerians.
But hold on, before you mention the implications, I want to read out this phrase. I when I read it, I was stunned myself as to the kind of depth in the plea. It's almost like somebody saying, "Help me! If you don't help me, I will drown." You say in this appeal that, please, I am going to suffer irreparable damage. You need to place an emergency hold on this order. You're also stating that it is impossible for him to have his state of well-being if these records are released. In fact, he argued through his lawyer that this is an emergency and it was important for the court to put a stay on it. He said severe and irreparable harm will be done to him, and that whatever happens afterwards, it would be impossible to mitigate if that order is not allowed to stay on the release of his records to his opposition. What does that mean? I need to understand what that means.
Okay, now it's very, very clear. What irreparable harm can be done to Mr. Tinubu if the facts get released? If, for instance, it is released that it is the truth that he did go to that school and the school issued him a certificate, there will be no harm at all. Now, the irreparable harm will be if what the school now deposes on oath is to the fact that Mr. Tinubu forged the documents, or that Mr. Tinubu did not even attend the school as and when he said he attended, or that the person who was admitted was a female and not a male, that Mr. Tinubu is, or that the person who attended the school is a US citizen and not a Nigerian citizen. So these are the issues that will cause irreparable harm. So if the fact was the Tinubu attended the school as he claimed to be and everything went his way, there will be no harm. So if he claims that there will be irreparable harm, Nigerians and the world already knows what the school will likely divulge.
With what you just explained now, Barrister Eze, wouldn't this implicate the school?
The school, look, the way it works, like I keep on telling Nigerians, we should not say because the school is based in America, then it's a 100% saintly school, a school that belongs to divine issues. No. The highest schools in the United States, Yale University, Harvard University, Princeton, and some other Ivy League institutions, were recently involved in examination racketeering and admission fraud. So we should not say because they are in America, then they are above God. No. This school already, the Chicago State University, have proved with this case that this is a fraudulent institution. It is a school that cannot be relied on to say the facts as when due and as it is. Why must a school wait for anybody to use a court order to bring out the educational history of anybody? I went to Georgetown University. Anybody can apply to Georgetown for my records from Georgetown, and I will not be bothered about what those records are, because I know I have my certificate and everything. It only happens when there is fraud involved. And clearly, if Mr. Tinubu is saying he will suffer irreparable damages, it is very, very clear what the issues are. And we should stop prevaricating. It is a very clear-cut case of somebody trying to protect his ass because he knows he has lied, he knows he has perjured, he knows he has given false documentations to the INEC and other agencies of government. So he will suffer irreparable harm, and he should suffer it if indeed he lied to Nigerians. And he should suffer that irreparable harm if he has used false pretenses to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He should suffer irreparable harm if he has deposited falsehood and got Nigerians to vote for him based on those falsehoods. And that irreparable harm must shift to him and not to Nigerians. I keep on saying, the people who are suffering the irreparable harm now are Nigerians. You and I, who have to travel with a Nigerian passport, who have to portray a Nigerian degrees. When the person who is the president is with a doubtful certificate, then what about yours and mine? How can that be trusted by foreign entities?
Okay,
like
the problem,
the impact of this is on the youths. We noticed that not too long ago, after Mr. Tinubu became president, a young girl forged her JAMB results so that she can become the highest. Yes. Now, why will anybody blame someone for forging her JAMB results to become the highest in JAMB if somebody also forged the Chicago State University results or certificate to become president? I mean, it is morally unconscionable to blame any forger or to blame any